right, so we're here with Tony Greer, Mayor of Cañon City. Can you tell us what just recently happened yesterday? I guess the police chief, Dwayne McNeil, was placed on leave.
About 4:30, the city administrator Doug Dodson called me and told me that he had decided to place Chief McNeil on administrative leave. The reasoning behind that was the results that we received from our audit, and to elaborate on that a little bit, over the past several months we'd had complaints from within the police department as well as from some of our local citizens about some stuff that wasn't very flattering about the police department. The previous administrator and I, and along with city attorney, decided to hire someone from outside to come and take a look at our police department to make sure that everything was the way we would hope that our police department would be run. We didn't feel like, because it's a small department, we didn't feel like we could get an accurate depiction of what was going on by doing an internal investigation. That's why we decided to do an external investigation. That audit has been completed. The purpose of that audit was basically to give us an indication of whether or not we should launch a full-scale investigation. That audit, I believe, has been made public. The information in that audit, I believe 39 members of the police department, police officers and staff were interviewed, and the results of that audit led us to believe that we probably needed to take it a step further, corroborate some of that evidence. The scope of the original audit was simply to interview officers and staff and get their feelings, their take on how the police department was being run. It didn't necessarily prove or disprove any of the allegations. It just wrote the allegations down. So it's a pretty thick report. We decided that we probably should look further because there were some things in there that concerned us. Allegations of pitting officer against officer, coercing officers to write more tickets than they were comfortable with, some allegations of sexual harassment, and things that just concerned the city staff greatly. I believe that Administrator Dodson decided to place the chief on administrative leave because part of the report was that the police chief was coercing police officers to say and do things that they normally would not do, and we haven't determined that the police chief has done anything wrong, but to protect the sanctity of the investigation, we thought it was important for him to not be involved in this part of the investigation in the event that the outcome is something that would be somewhat controversial, and we want, like I said, we want to protect the sanctity of that investigation so that it can be unchallenged.
Were there also complaints from the public? There
were complaints from public. I've received several complaints. I'd say along the line of 8 or 10 written complaints, several verbal complaints, harassment of the citizens, sort of an authoritarian posture inside some of the local drinking establishments, heavy police presence in the downtown areas, particularly on weekend nights, and paramilitary state being a term that's kind of thrown around a lot. I've had allegations of excessive force, illegal entry, things of that nature. Haven't been proven. They're just allegations, but we certainly want to get to the bottom of it because we make sure that our citizens and our police department are protected and they're able to be in a safe environment.
Set this down a little bit. I overheard you talking a minute ago about someone at the police department had mentioned that they had discovered a pinhole camera in a tissue box.
There is that. I have heard that. I think it's really important for everyone that's writing a story to know that the city council, myself, other elected officials are not involved in personnel matters whatsoever. That's not our role. We're sort of separated from that. I personally have not spoken with any police officers directly. But I certainly have friends and relatives of police officers that call me with their concerns. I believe that the police officers have been forbidden from speaking with elected officials about things that are going on inside the police department. Certainly their constitutional right to talk to their elected officials about other matters. But one of those reports that I received was that they had discovered a couple of pinhole cameras at the police annex here on South 9th Street. And the allegation was to spy on police officers that were working there, filing reports and things of that nature on the night shift.
Any other questions? How long do you anticipate him to be on leave for?
I don't think that we have any preconceived notion of how long that might be. However long it takes to conduct the investigation to the satisfaction of the city staff, I would imagine that the police chief will be on administrative leave for the duration of that investigation.
And so is that the next step?
That is the next step, yes. And the purpose of the audit, I think I mentioned it earlier, the purpose of the audit was to determine whether or not we actually needed a full-scale investigation, and whether the message traffic that we were receiving was just from a few disgruntled police officers and members of the public, or whether it was a widespread problem. And it seemed to be from the audit that it was a widespread problem. I believe 33 out of the 39 people interviewed said that there was a big problem within the police department.
So who conducts that investigation?
I'm not sure. That's not my department. But I believe Administrator Dotson is investigating our options at this point. I haven't spoken with him today. I spoke with him about 4:45 yesterday, when he told me his decision was to place the police chief on administrative leave. But I'm not sure whether or not he's decided who to hire, if he's going to hire somebody, if he's going to conduct the investigation himself. That's something that we'll have to discuss, but we certainly would like to get to the bottom of it as quickly as possible.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr.